Hello, in the last video, we had a look at simultaneous linear equations and how to solve them using the substitution method. In this video, we're going to have a look at what do we do with an application problem or a word problem, how we go about constructing the simultaneous linear equations. So I've got the 4 steps here. It does require you to read through the problem and do a little bit of analysis to make sure you understand what the question is asking of you. So I've got these as 4 simple steps. So first of all, identify the unknowns, what you're looking for effectively, and give it a variable for each unknown. The second thing is then to use the facts in the question to construct equations. And a good rule of thumb is that there should be 1 equation per unknown. So if you've got 2 unknowns, you should be looking for 2 equations. Otherwise, you can't solve it. Then once you've constructed the equations, you can solve them using the techniques that we have already explored. And then make sure you go back and answer the question. That'll make sense when I go through an example in a moment, which I will do now. So here's example 16, question 7 from exercise 1D. And I'll start by doing the old highlighting trick because I think it's really useful. So a party was organised for 30 people, so that's important when we see a number there to make sure we're on top of that, at which they could have either a hamburger or a pizza. I'm going to come back to that statement in a minute. If there were 5 times, now 5 times means it's going to be a product, as many hamburgers as pizzas, calculate the number of each. Okay, so we need to use those facts, and we're also, I guess, in a way, if I'm identifying the unknowns, I guess it's hamburger or pizza. So I'll just highlight them in a different color. They're the 2 things that we don't know, the number of hamburgers and the number of pizzas. And I think critical to this question is that it does say either. So we know automatically that no one's having more than 1 hamburger, and then nor are they having a hamburger and a pizza. It's got to be one or the other. So the next thing is to put those facts together. You can take time to do this. So I'm going to just do it fairly quickly, but don't think this means that's what you should be able to do as well. You've got to think things through. What do we know? We know that 30 people are at the party, which means there are going to be 30 pieces of food. So let's give a variable for each of the things we don't know. We're trying to find out the number of hamburgers and the number of pizza. Now, you can just do this bit in your head if you're in a hurry. If you're not in a hurry, it is really good to do something like this. Let H be the number, I'm just going to use no dot, number of hamburgers, and P be the number of pizzas. I'm not trying to make it overly long, but it does really help solidify exactly what you're doing here. So we know that the total number of food items is 30, so we can say that H plus P is equal to 30, right? Number of hamburgers plus the number of pizzas must be equal to 30, 1 for each person. And the second fact is if there were 5 times as many hamburgers as pizzas. Okay, so 5 times as many hamburgers as pizzas, so there's more hamburgers than pizzas. So H is equal to 5P. Now, often people that get that particular one wrong, they go P equals 5H because they treat H and P like hamburger and pizza. But remember, these are numbers. So the number of hamburgers is, if I spelt this out, the number of hamburgers is equal to 5 times the number of pizzas. And that's exactly what it says there. The number of hamburgers is 5 times the number of pizzas. So there's my 2 equations. I can label them if I want to, if it makes sense with the explanation. I'm going to go down to slide 11 to complete this, just to make sure it's not too squishy. So we use a substitution method. So I'm going to just go sub H equals 5P into 1. So we've got, instead of H, I write 5P plus P is equal to 30. So 6P is equal to 30. And you can just do it formally or just informally. You can see that P is equal to 5. And then we'll sub P equals 5 in equation 2. Tend to use the second equation, the equation you didn't use originally for that. And H is equal to 5 times 5. That's my usual way of writing multiplication. 5 times 5, which is 25. And then I can just do a really quick check on the original equation. So I'm back up to slide 10. 25 plus 5 equals 30, and 25 equals 5 times 5. Yep, so that seems to work for that particular pair of equations. The last step, remember, is to answer the question. It's really important that you do that. So you say, therefore, there were 5 pizzas, 25 hamburgers. And I have seen marks taken off for students who don't answer the question in an exam. It's not usually because of pizzas and hamburgers, but it's because you haven't put centimetres or kilometres or hours or whatever, so units. And I've seen students lose marks as a result of not putting units in because they didn't answer the question, they just had a number. Okay, that's it for that. So you've got some textbook work to do, which gets you to do the same thing, construct some problems and solve them.